Welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, still Moneyline with Nancy on African Independent Television. And joining me right now is my guest. He is the Registrar, National Collateral Registry. He is Musa Bulus Zgabawa. I hope I got that right.
You got it right.
Thank you very much, Registrar, for joining us. What a day for you to be here. Welcome. Now, let me tell you the genesis. Let me give you a bit of backstory. Yesterday, okay, not yesterday actually, a few months ago, Moneyline with Nancy had what we call the Personal and Business Acceleration Masterclass. We're going to do another one this year. And during the event, you know, it was a way of like getting business people, individuals coming, what are your problems, what are the questions and all of that. And some of the things that we noticed, let me say one of those things that we noticed, people don't know what the collateral registry is. And I was like, oh, guys, how come? And I talk about this also on my show. Sometimes when I'm doing interviews with people, I'm like, okay, there's a collateral registry. You can use your movable assets and all of that. But a large percentage of people don't know about what you are doing, you and your colleagues are doing. So that's like almost like a backstory. So I was like, okay, fine. I also spoke with, is it Dr. Nana on a few days ago too, the chief economist of DBN. And during our conversation, NCR came up. So I was like, okay, I think this is like a signal. Nancy, you've got to get these people and you're here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
For coming. Now, what exactly is National Collateral Registry? What exactly is it?
Good.
And we should try as much as possible to be very simple. Let's bring it down to the basics. Let's not be too technical.
Definitely will not be technical. Some years back, we observed that MSMEs find it difficult to access credit. And the common reason is the collateral. You know, everybody now, we want to say a land, a building. In which part of the country? Most of the time, Abuja, Port Harcourt, or Lagos. How many of us have houses in Abuja, Port Harcourt, or Lagos? Which means the MSMEs are dead on arrival. When Emefiele came in as the governor of the central bank, he had this dream to stimulate access to credit to the MSMEs. And other jurisdictions have the secure transaction where movable assets can be used as collateral, which means movable assets. And that's the genesis of the National Collateral Registry. It's a registry, an electronic registry, that allows creditors to secure their interest in an asset owned by a debtor.
So it's an electronic registry.
Yeah.
It's not that all the movable assets are within your confiscation,
within
your building.
No.
You know, I said let's do this thing as basic as possible. So what do you mean by that electronic registry?
Okay.
How does it, okay, we'll come to how does it work, but when was the NCR established?
2016.
So you're like 7 years in the making now.
Yeah.
7 years in the making, and a lot of people have not really, they don't really know what you and your...
We are sorry for that, but that's what we're doing. No.
Don't be sorry. Do more work.
No, we are.
Now, let's go back. What does that, what's the meaning of that electronic registry? How does it work?
Okay, you know, electronic means you can be anywhere in the country, in the world, and you want to register your security interest, or you want to search whether a particular asset has been encumbered, you just go into the website www.ncr.gov.ng. It's not in a particular place, it is electronic everywhere in the world.
So
www.gov.ng.
I hope my team gets that. www.ncr.gov.ng.
Yeah.
www.ncr.gov.ng.
Yeah.
www.ncr.gov.ng. Let's put that, because this is really an enlightenment session.
Thank you.
Okay, so anywhere in the world, if you want to know if that movable asset has been encumbered, you can search. As a banker, as a microfinance bank, or as a commercial bank.
Searching can be done by anybody.
Okay.
The public can search. It takes 2 minutes or thereabout from the beginning of when you want to search to when your certificate of search is printed. And it's just for a token of 500 naira.
500 naira. So is it when I go on the website I pay?
Yeah.
So it will ask me for my payment details there.
Yeah. It takes you through QuickTeller or any other payment platform. You pay, it will give you a code. Send a code to your email address. Then you go back to the search, enter the code, and it is verified, and the search certificate is printed.
Now with this, aren't you now excluding people that don't have perhaps access to internet, access to emails there, and you are trying to solve problems for nano and small, medium, micro businesses?
Yeah, it looks like. However, we just came to this level now.
Okay.
We are improving. We are not there. Our watchword is what? Progress. So with time, we'll definitely get to that particular place. Who tell you we can't do USSD?
Because
we are already talking about e-naira on that particular thing. We will go into USSD very soon.
Okay, I hope I'll come back to that, because we have a lot to talk about in terms of financial institutions and how they can have access to that. But just tell me really how it works.
Okay.
For example, someone that wants to seek for, let's say 500,000, and you don't have that money, but you have assets like Okada, you have assets like wristwatch, you have assets like phone, you have assets like radio in the village, for example, transistor radio or television set. How does it work? Okay. Someone listening to us now, watching us, and say, okay, I want to use these items as collateral. Where do I begin?
Can we create a bank, an imaginary bank today?
Yes, we can.
Moneyline International Bank.
Fantastic, yes.
Let's assume Mr. X wants to he needs money for his working capital for his business. Has a car, he needs 500,000. He will go to Moneyline International Bank and say, I need credit for working capital. However, I don't have landed property, but I have a movable asset. And since the STMA, Secure Transaction Immovable Asset Act, allows me to come to you, you as the MD of Moneyline International Bank or the credit officer will look at that asset. Does it have the value that you think you can go into? Let's assume the value of that asset is 5 million naira. He needs 500,000. What will he do? He comes to you, gives you the document. He will sign an agreement with you. Register it on a form called the financing statement form. It includes his address, everything you need to know about him, the serial number of the collateral, how much he wants to collect. You register it, the Moneyline International Bank, we register the financing statement on the NCR registry. Immediately he registers it, you give him the money, he goes back with his asset.
He goes back with
his asset.
Okay.
Now, what you have done is that you have registered your security interest. You have an interest in that asset, such that in the case of default, you have a priority over him on that asset. You can repossess the asset because he must sign that if he defaults, you can go and repossess the asset, even if you don't go to the court. So that individual has the money
and has the asset.
Has the asset, but you have what? The security interest perfected on it.
I hope our viewers have understood what you just...
Do you want me to say it again?
Yes, yes. Please come again.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. X
For clarity's sake, again.
Mr. X wants to collect 500,000.
Mr. Musa,
Okay.
Mr. Benson.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Musa wants to collect
500,000
500,000 from
Line
Moneyline
with Nancy's
International Bank.
Yes.
And he only goes to Moneyline and asks them, I have an asset, so asset. Moneyline will value the asset to see whether that asset has that value. If it is 5 million, he goes, sign all the documents they need to sign. Moneyline will go to the registry, NCR registry, and register its security interest, which is the registration of the financing statement. Register its security interest in that particular, on that particular asset, gives Mr. Musa the credit of 500,000. Mr. Musa goes home with the asset and the money given. However, the interest, the security right, has been transferred to Moneyline International Bank.
So in case the person does not pay Moneyline International Bank, Moneyline International Bank can repossess
the asset.
The asset.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. I hope you all have gotten it. Now, what are the movable assets that fall? What are the assets that fall into this? Because I would like you to explain. Is it every asset? Is it every movable asset, rather?
All assets not landed, because I can't move. I can't move this property.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe we will try move it one day. So it is not movable. It's immovable. Everything except under the NCR STMA Act, except planes and ships. These are movable assets. Your trinkets are movable assets. Your vehicles are movable assets. The laptops, movable assets. Motorcycle are movable assets. Do you know your inventory are movable assets?
My inventory?
Your inventory in your warehouse.
My warehouse. Okay. So you can borrow money against your warehouse.
Against your inventory.
Against your inventory.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the cows? Movable assets.
That's the livestock.
Livestock.
My poultry.
Poultry, movable asset. What about the fish? In the pond, they are movable assets.
So that means for people watching, you have this kind of assets, you can borrow against
it.
Against those things.
Yeah.
And stop saying, no, I don't have land, I don't have land.
Then let's go to the young people.
Yes.
That don't have all these things. But they have intellectual property.
They have brain.
Brain. And let's assume that it may have done something that nobody has and have registered a patent or trademark. Patent, trademark are intellectual properties. They are movable assets. You can collect, you can go to bank. If there is a value on this particular intellectual property, you can go to the bank and that particular intellectual property can be registered.
So who values the assets?
The bank.
The bank.
The creditor values the asset
Before
he gives you anything.
Okay, not because some people will say, you know, we see these things a lot. Oh, no, I have land and it's worth so amount.
Yeah.
But when the bank values it, or when they now value, you see that perhaps it's less or even is more.
Yeah.
It's more.
You know, when you want to value your property, you value it high.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but when it goes to the market, it may not be that value.
That value.
There is this, this attachment you have to that asset that makes you feel it is more than any other thing in the world. So the bank will value the asset.
Now, if we're talking about financial institutions or banks, what kind of banks will fall under the category for people to assess this? Because I can imagine now for these big commercial banks that we have right now, can someone watching now go into that big commercial bank and say, I just watched Moneyline with Nancy.
Okay.
I just watched the registrar, National Collateral Registry. This is what he told us right now on the show. I have juries, I have Okada, I have Keke Napep. I am empowered by so this. Act, give me. Do you think they will listen to him?
A bank operates under its business model. What is the bank's business model? If the bank business model looks at the lower spectrum of the people, it will handle that. Now, take note of it. The reason why banks don't go into these things, it's a bit expensive to monitor 5,000 naira creditor, a debtor rather, and at times it is a bit difficult for them to value that asset. However, among these big banks that you say there are big banks, there are some of the banks that play deep inside this area. The microfinance bank are already there.
Yeah, I was coming to that.
Yeah, the microfinance bank are there. Some of the deposit money banks are deep inside. All the deposit money banks in the country are registered with the NCR. However, you may go to your branch. If the staff in your branch, the credit officers in your branch don't understand, that's where the issue will come again. This credit officer need to call the head office and ask them things around the movable assets credit.
So with this that you said that some credit officers may not have information,
Yeah.
does the NCR do training regularly with financial institutions to say this is what has been happening since 2016, or even checking how are you guys, complying to this?
We already have plans to beef up their capacity this year, to guide them in a lot of things, to even, if we can have people that will guide them on valuation of movable assets, we will do that this year. We are going to engage the financial institutions. Can I tell you, we're also going to engage your people, the MSMEs.
Okay.
We're going to engage the MSMEs and tell them much about the opportunity. If there are things where the MSMEs fail in, you don't go to banks to collect money when your accounting system is defective. If we have people that will guide them on preparing, teaching them what to do, we will do that.
In terms of adequate record keeping and all of that, because you can't say I want to go and look for money as a business, and your books are not right. So, and you say, oh, they don't give me loan, and they look for money. How would they give you money? Even if someone is borrowing you the money, someone must know, that person must know you have the capacity to pay. So you have to put your books in order.
That is it.
Your book is not gigantic book. It's about how much is sales today. This is my revenue. This is my profit.
That is it.
Isn't it? That's just it.
That is it.
As simple as
as
ABC. I'm trying to make this program as simple as ABC so that you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to be speaking too much English.
I'm not even speaking too
no,
much
you are
English.
trying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, don't you think there is a microfinance banks that will play under that? And how has the relationship been between NCR and microfinance banks? And do you have an idea of perhaps how much in terms of what has happened, in terms of perhaps the kind of credit that has gone to MSMEs as a result of using movable assets as collateral?
The financial institutions that operate more at that spectrum at the microfinance bank. The transaction that passes through us from the microfinance bank is close to 90% of the transactions every month. They operate seriously on it. And since 2016, the credit that has been registered on the NCR website, you want me to tell you?
Yes, please.
Above 16 trillion naira.
Above 16 trillion naira?
Which means credit and interest thereon that had been registered is above 16 trillion naira.
How about the rate of default?
Significantly low.
So what does this tell me? That people that borrow from microfinance banks, those nano, micro, small businesses, they do pay back.
They do pay back. From the record we have.
From the record we have.
Everywhere in the world, the default rate, the non-performing loan on movable assets is lower than other assets.
Do you also have a sense of ratio in terms of perhaps the people assessing the business? How about female-owned businesses? Do you have?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get at something, whether for you to have this significantly low default rate, it could be women-owned businesses.
Women, so far.
Because women, we know they like own money.
I know now. Men know they own money well now. you see, I think from record, between 25 to 30% of businesses or individuals that have accessed credit using movable assets are female, are women, between 25 to 30%.
Okay, that's not bad, but it should also increase.
It depends.
Yes.
When they come, nobody stops them from coming there. You just need to tell them, women, come on board. That's it. When they come, these banks, financial institutions are ready to grant them credit based on this movable asset. Do you know a woman selling akara can come with her akara plate, pan?
The pan.
The pan
frying
is
pan.
a movable asset, yeah. The frying pan is a movable asset. She can come in, the frying pan may be 50,000 naira, and she can collect 10,000 naira worthwhile and do her business with it.
I hope that this program, that people are watching this thing. I can see how keenly my cameraman is watching. He's sitting down there. Uche is sitting there. I hope that after the show, Uche will not come to you. You know,
Uche will welcome you.
but what I'm actually trying to look at is, if these kind of things are happening, why are we still having the lacuna? Because all of this is to unlock, you know, what's been impeding the growth of nano, micro, and small businesses. Really. So if all of this is happening, why do you now think that we have the issue of not growing our MSME space?
You see, everything is collaboration. If NCR stands on its own, nobody knows about it. We've had relationship with Smedan. We were with Smedan, the DG Smedan and every other thing, a working committee between NCR and Smedan to see how we deepen it. I think they will have a meeting either this week or next week. So when we look at this thing, we observe that there are stakeholders that need to close that gaps for us. So what we're doing is collaborating with them, sensitizing, telling people what it is. This year and next year, we are deepening our sensitization, trying to make sure people are aware of this. The banks are ready for you, and the individuals that need this money go to the banks. I told the DGS Smedan, I said, above 16 trillion naira since 2016. My target in 5 years, our target in 5 years is to get to close to 300 trillion naira. And we can do that. We have the potentials in the country, and we need to grow the system. And that is why we're there now.
Okay. You've actually talked about the benefits of using the registry for MSMEs, businesses, and financial institutions. I'm really keen to know what structures are in place, for example, to safeguard the pledged asset against theft, fire, and other hazards. Because just like you said, I can go and get money, borrow money with that asset, but I can be living and my iPad is stolen, or my phone is stolen, or my car is stolen. What happens? And when you're asking me now for money I may not have to give you, and you don't have the assets to take, to confiscate it. So what happens in that instance?
Thank you. That's where NICOM comes in.
Oh, okay. I know you told me insurance.
In fact, we were with the NICOM some few weeks ago to see how we can collaborate. Have you observed that in developed countries, when a business goes down, it bounces back? We want to get to that place where a small business in this country goes down, insurance should be able to what? Indemnify them. So there must be insurance cover for all these assets that are registered on the NCR. If you have a poultry farm, you want to go and collect credit, insure your poultry farm.
And there's micro insurance already that NICOM is already doing.
That is it.
Micro
So with this, if the asset gets lost, the insurance company will pay. But can I tell you one thing? If that asset has been insured, or if it has not been insured, but it has been encumbered, we are getting to the level. We are also in collaboration with Association of Motor Dealers Organization of Nigeria. We will discuss with other secondary market dealers, such that when a person wants to buy a second-hand vehicle, second-hand things, let's say this a laptop, whatsoever, or tab, what will he do? He need to search to see whether that asset has been encumbered. So we advise people, don't go and buy second-hand things without searching. Go to the NCR website, search whether that asset has been encumbered. If it has been encumbered and somebody that has collected credit from a bank goes and sell it to you, you know you stand to lose, because the bank has first priority over that asset, whether it is with a third party or not.
I think that's a good point because we buy a lot of second-hand and tokumbo things in the country. So before you do that, ensure that that asset or that property has not been encumbered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how much? 500 naira only.
500 naira
for the search.
For the search.
Yeah.
So that means you guys are making money too. Because if you have assets worth about 16 trillion naira, I'm trying. Okay, let's quickly go ahead. Sorry for that interruption. I was talking about the money aspect of it. My brain is trying to do some calculations, because if you say 500 naira each for each search, explain who gets that 500 naira?
It comes into the central bank coffers.
Okay.
Used to manage the system and every other thing.
Okay, okay. Now, let's move over to the procedure for the recovery of assets in case the borrower defaults.
Good.
How do you recover?
Remember, we said there is a registration of the financing statement.
Yes.
And you as the borrower must have signed that in the case of default, the creditor, secured creditor, can go in and recover the asset. The creditor can go and recover the asset with the assistance of the police.
Okay.
So when there's a default, you can recover your asset.
So what happens to the asset after a loan has been repaid? If I have taken and I pay back, so what happens?
Remember, when you take the loan, the financing statement is registered. Your asset is encumbered. Anybody that searches it will look at it that is encumbered. When you have paid off everything, your income, that asset, collateral, will be discharged. The creditor goes to the system and discharge
and
that
remove
thing.
my business name or remove my
remove
name.
everything, which means anybody that searches this thing does not see that that asset or that business has been encumbered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do financial institutions now register movable assets on the NCR? Is it the same way that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
So it's just still the same way.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the difference between a secured loan and an unsecured loan?
Secured is secured. Unsecured is unsecured. Now, let's go from the collateral registry pattern. When Moneyline International Banks goes to the NCR registry and register that financing statement concerning Mr. Musa, it perfects its interest. That perfection of interest secured their credit, their interest. So that particular thing that has been registered on the NCR website, where your interest has been perfected, becomes a secured credit. Now, when you just give Mr. Musa credit without perfection, without anything, it is unsecured, which means in the case of default, you may not have access to that property. But when it is secured, you have a priority, whether a first priority, second priority, or third priority, but as the case may be, you have a priority over that asset, and you can lay a claim over the asset.
Can I use someone else's property?
Yes.
As security for a loan?
Yes.
I can use?
Yeah. Now that's where we now come in with
the person steals the property?
Okay, we need to explain it. That's where, you know, we've been talking about two parties, creditor, debtor. Now we're bringing the third party, the grantor.
Okay, the
grantor.
Okay.
Grantor. Mr. Musa wants to come to
my bank?
Your bank, but does not have a movable asset. He can go to Mr. Uche. Mr. Uche may be Mr. Musa's friend, brother, or uncle has movable asset, is rich in movable asset. Mr. Musa can discuss with him and they'll agree. Mr. Uche will register, we sign the agreement with the creditor that this is my asset, but I'm granting it on behalf of Mr. Musa. So there can be a grantor. But do you know there's a business opportunity there for young people or for businesses?
To be grantors.
Collateral managers.
Collateral managers.
You could be extending collateral.
Okay, you call them collateral managers.
You could come up that way. Yeah. Or collateral lenders or whatsoever.
Yes.
So it's a collateral management company that could come there again. Which means if you are rich in collateral asset, movable asset, but you don't need it to collect credit, somebody can come there. It happens in other jurisdictions. They can come in, pay you a token, and use it. But you must be sure you know that person well.
And in case that person does not pay back the loan and all of that, what happens?
Your collateral has been encumbered.
The collateral manager will suffer the loss.
Yeah. But remember, before you go to that place, you must have signed other agreements.
Other agreements.
Yeah. But you know the advantage with this collateral to the banks, that the banks are running away, is that it does not only encumber your present asset, present value as the present value of your asset, it encumbers your future assets. Oh, let me explain to you.
Yes.
Let's assume you have a poultry, and you sold the poultry without telling the bank, and the money enters your account. The account is encumbered also.
There's no way you're running to them.
You can't run away.
Because we have this global financial
GSI.
Instructions. So anywhere you put your money.
We are waiting for you.
Okay. As we coast towards the end of the show, what modalities does the NCR have in place that will ensure the enforcement and repossession in the event of a default by a borrower, just like what we are saying now?
Yeah.
Because there are some in some circumstances it could be difficult to retrieve those assets.
Good. In that case, that's where the police come. We are in the process of having a serious discussion with the police to sensitize the police first. They are the most important stakeholders here. They are the people that will go with the manager of that bank to repossess it. The law requires the police to be aware. The DPO of that particular area need to be contacted by the manager of that bank so that the DPO gives him that particular thing. But we need to still sensitize the police.
Now, should the police be involved from the beginning, at least, like a document given to them that this is the arrangement coming up first, in case something happens? So they are not involved at the beginning of the process, but just to inform the police that NCRO, this is what we are doing right now. Movable assets can be used as collateral in case this borrower defaults. You are called in. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I
understand. The police doesn't need to be involved when that transaction is consummated.
Okay.
However, because you can't involve the police in everything.
Everything, yeah.
You will finish them in the country, and we still love our police. So what you need to do is when there is a default, and you can print the financing statement and the default statement, that's when you go to the police with that statement to say, there was this agreement, but this particular debtor has not complied accordingly. The police follows you, but remember, the police need to be aware. The police need to understand how to even read the financing statement. We are in the process of having discussions with them to guide them on, when you see a financing statement, what does it mean?
I hope that's not a Herculean task, but of course we have intelligent people too.
Yeah.
In the police.
Yeah. It's just a simple thing, and you discuss. This is what to check. This is what to check. And believe me, if we begin to guide our police in this, their knowledge is enhanced. And when a person's knowledge is enhanced, you know what it means. The country stands to benefit from it.
Okay, just as we end, I don't know, but let me ask this question: what's an account receivable, and can it be used as collateral for a loan?
Good. Nancy, Moneyline does business for people, and people pay them, and they promise them to pay them. Account receivable is a promise to pay you something. You must have done service for somebody, and there's an agreement that somebody will pay you, a particular company will pay you 50 million naira. But you need 5 million naira. And there's this signed agreement. Signed agreement from, you know, Central Bank cannot default. MTN does not default. Maybe sign agreement from Central Bank that by first June, we're paying you so amount. But you need 5 million. You can go to the bank with that account receivable, that promise, whether it's a promissory note, whether it's a bill of exchange, you can go with that and register that, encumber that particular thing, and you can be given credit on that.
Okay. I know we can talk as much as we want to, but I will have you again soon. At least what we've done now is to lay a background as to what the Collateral Registry is and the benefits to nano, micro, and small businesses especially, because that is the bulk of the businesses we have in the country. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
sir,
Nancy, for having us.
for coming on today's edition of the program. I hope that you've learned quite a lot. Please watch this again. Go on our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV, get this show and share it as much as possible. I've been speaking with the Registrar, National Collateral Registry, Musa Bulus Zgabawa. He's been with me at least for the last few minutes. That's the much you can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for watching. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. Bye now.